The Epstein stuff has really broken MAGA. It is fractured, and they are more upset at Trump than I've ever seen them on anything. We used to cover when MAGA would get upset with Trump over advocating for the vaccine. That doesn't even compare to how angry they are at Trump over him concluding the Epstein case, saying there's nothing else to learn. And we have a lot of updates on that. I know some people are getting a little sick of the story, but I find it pretty relevant, to be frank with you. And Trump reignited it terribly by posting this Truth Social post. So let's do that, and then I'll show you some of what followed. He said, "What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein." Guys, resist the urge to buy into theories before they have credible evidence to substantiate them. But if you want to believe some of the craziest theories, that's a wild thing to say. He never dies. I tried. I mean, we killed him. I mean, he committed what? He won't die. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama? This is the key part. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and Hunter Biden's bathroom, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me, and now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. So let's pause there because I get really tired reading these. What we're getting is him going, why are my guys and my gals upset with me? It's not fair. So then he has to justify that, right? Because just saying that doesn't make sense. So he says, why won't Epstein ever die? And then he goes, why would we care about files that were written by the Democrats? Already insane. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know if he knows what that means. He just thinks it sounds like a way to brand this as a hoax so that his followers move on from it, as they normally do with things he calls hoaxes. But I don't think they're going to move on from this in the same way. But remember who was president when Epstein even died and was finally brought to prison? Trump was. So that doesn't even make sense on his face that how would Obama have written the Epstein files and Hillary Clinton? It doesn't make any sense. And I heard a lot of people going, oh, good point. Maybe they can't release them because they have a lot of phony stuff, like Trump said, because Biden wrote them during his years. What does writing official law enforcement documents mean? But none of that tracks with when this timeline even started on the prosecution front, even though there were investigations before Trump got in office, but kind of when it all concluded. They created the Epstein files. Why didn't the radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? Yes, that's the only reasonable point to make, which is if the Biden DOJ had a smoking gun on Trump or on other folks, then you would imagine we would have seen it by now, or it would be a part of an ongoing investigation still. And so that, I guess, is reasonable to bring up. They haven't even given up on the JFK, MLK Jr. files. No matter how much success we have had, securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. We're about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again. We will continue to be careful of that. The left is imploding. Cash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. Why did we get here? That's what she's looking into as AG much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for it. It doesn't matter. People do care about him, obviously, but This is like, you know, when you really mess up in a relationship and it's not like an argument where you just mess up. And so then you so cringily have to just throw everything. Hey, so I cleaned your car and I got you flowers and you look so beautiful today. What the heck? And I have dinner reservations and I got your friends to come over later and I went ahead and that's what Trump's doing here. He's like reaching into the bag and just trying to throw everything he possibly. And also the election was stolen. What? Pam Bonnie's be focusing on I love his list too. The last part of the list is the freedom were stolen. Wait, what? Let Pam Bondi. Does he even mention criminals? No, he says what she needs to be focused. Oh yeah, here, Kash Patel. Then investigating corruption, political corruption. Act Blue, the rigged and stolen. The last thing he puts is arresting thugs and criminals. And so he's trying to make it if you put emphasis on this as a MAGA, then you're not being loyal to many of the conspiracies like the stolen election that you previously defined yourself with. And this is one of the rare posts that got ratioed, meaning people were commenting more than liking it. Like Rosie said, "This statement breaks my heart, Mr. President. I have 4 daughters and live in Texas where families lost little children. Can't begin to comprehend the flip narrative that it was so long ago. Why are we still talking about this? And nobody should care. These victims were someone's daughter, sister's, niece's, granddaughter, etc." And then everyone in his comments, normally it's just a bunch of memes of him with a six pack, are saying you're losing too many in your base. Have an aide collect what we are saying all over social media. You promised us, sir. Putting your MAGA base down is not going to make this go away. You get the point. Then other developments. Dan Bongino's relationship with the White House still basically untenable. He's the deputy FBI director. Pam Bondi's allies believe Dan Bongino burned his bridges and needs to quit. You then have Trump getting asked, is Dan Bongino still working at the FBI? And he goes, I think.
Oh, I think so. I did. I spoke to him today. Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times. And he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
I was going to ask you, on this 1-year anniversary of Butler, what was going through?
I think he's still working there, is Trump's response. As we continue through, please do click the subscribe button. So one of the people I've been interested in keeping up with amid all this is Alex Jones, because he's both really pro-Trump, but also is the biggest. Epstein is proof of every other deep state conspiracy we believe in, right? Because there really was a crazy fact-based conspiracy in a sense there. They then use that as a justification to say, see, if that could have happened, everything else that we say is happening. And so he loves Trump, but he also has made his identity really attached to this story and has been struggling. He calls this the mother of all scandals when Trump sent out that post.
As you know, I just call balls and strikes. And after years of saying they will release the Epstein file or list, suddenly they're not going to, and we're told it doesn't exist. But then Trump comes out last night and says, well, it does exist, but the Democrats had control of it, manipulated it, which is actually true. They've had control, but they would destroy anything they didn't want in there and leave what they wanted in there that their investigators could plant. So people say, well, then whose side are you on? This is a giant fiasco. I'm trying to call balls and strikes. I'm trying to look at every angle of this and understand what's happening, understand why the Trump administration did a 180 the last few months, and particularly the last week, and did this, and then blames loyal supporters who support the overall agenda as being traitorous for doing this. Now, we all know what triggered this. It was Elon 2 months ago saying, look, Trump's in the list, and that big breakup there, and then Trump wants it closed. He wants it shut down, which looks extremely incriminating. But from all of my deep research, never saw Trump involved in any illegal activity with Jeffrey Epstein. So we are simply here.
I'm curious what Alex Jones' deep research looks like. I'm curious what deep. You would not believe the number of Twitter accounts that I followed on this subject. You would not get your head around. You can't handle the truth that I've seen at InfoWars. ExposingTheTruth.com.
Cracking this case, not choosing a side, not wanting to.
Don't pick your nose while you're talking. Come on.
This case, not choosing a side, not wanting to make things be what we want them to be, but simply looking at the facts. But I dropped the ball. I didn't even think about the fact. I'm like, oh yeah, if they've had the list and they've had the files for years, the Democrats would take stuff out and destroy it. Well, that's obvious. They would leave in and twist and put in what they wanted. They have a long history of false documents, reports, Crossfire Hurricane, the list goes on and on. January 6th. So we've got to investigate this. We've got to keep open minds about this on all angles.
The way we talk about this, I can't even probably put into words properly what I'm trying to say here, but the oversimplification of it is remarkable. It's remarkable because you have all of these investigators. We're wording it like whenever Trump's in power, he had his detective not microscope. What's the little thing they carry? Magnifying glass. And he was walking in, he was taking hair samples and he was looking at things. And then when Biden's in power, he's the one. It's like these career investigators in many ways. And then the political appointees like the attorney general obviously could get access to the information and probably oversee parts of it. But the whole, while Democrats were in power, like the January 6th select committee, they could have made the Epstein stuff biased against Trump. It just comes off of like a huge cope. And I'm trying not to do that. Like I'm saying, yeah, if there was a smoking gun against Trump, that was as clearly present and not some convergence of evidence from different investigations, but was just there for sure, black and white in a file somewhere. I do think that would have been exposed during the Biden years. So that does give me some pause. Then he said this.
I would give Trump an F in the last month on his handling of the Epstein case. Everything they've done has created a giant Streisand effect. That said, though, he made a point in a Truth Social post yesterday that the Epstein file has been controlled by the Democrats, and only what they want to be known is going to be in the file, just like Russiagate and all the other hoaxes. I had always pointed out that they could delete anything they didn't want to be seen, but what about adding things that they wanted to be seen? FBI reports, not any real evidence, but things that spin it. And that's what Trump said yesterday. So I'm not in the business of being an apologist for Trump. I've been a major critic. But this has to be investigated. This has to be looked at very, very deeply. I did a big live stream earlier today.
This is so, what a weird moment we're in. The neo-Nazi, Nick Fuentes, says, so now Trump is claiming the Epstein files are a Democratic hoax. Lol, MAGA's dead. Good riddance. Oof. Some people are saying that this is video of JD Vance running from the Epstein files story. That's actually real video.
JD?
Yeah, that's real video of him at Disneyland or Disney World. And he has a, how do we say, dainty? Is it a dainty run? I think it's a dainty run, which I love. I don't think that's great pastorally. No, that's pastor. But I think one person said maybe he was running up to his kids, so he's being like silly. That's a crazy way to run. Aww. JP,
right? JD Mandel.
Matt Walsh said the attorney general said she had the client list on her desk. The White House made a big show of giving binders marked Epstein files phase 1 to a bunch of influencers now telling us there's no list and we should stop talking about it. Well, then why did they say there was a list? Why did they pull the... Yeah, this take is getting a little bit sleepy, even though it's true every time. Sean Strickland, MAGA guy, said, go F yourself. This isn't going away. When Kash Patel said, the conspiracy theories just aren't true, never have been. It's an honor to serve the President of the United States, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he calls on me. Okay, fine. If they're not, fair. I'm in the business of debunking conspiracy theories. But why did you fan those flames so long? You were the guy, Kash. You put Kash in as FBI and you're going to see those Epstein bombshells. You're going to see them. That's what I don't think they're ever going to really get over, especially with their base. Tara Paul Mary said Trump's movement used to say the government lied to you about Epstein, trust us. Now the government saying trust us, there's nothing to see here. The revolution ate itself. The Epstein story won't go away because it's not just about sex crimes, it's about class warfare. The elites abused poor kids and got away with it. MAGA was promised justice, but last week it made clear Trump's not the outsider, he's one of the protected. Then look at this. Republican Mike Lawler says, would you just shut up about the guy? He's 6 inches underground already.
Over the weekend.
Let him rest. Let him RIP. Do we have no regard for his resting state? Oh.
And President Trump said that the allegations in the Jeffrey Epstein files were at least partly fabrications from Democrats, which is why they should not be released. But there are a lot of people.
That sounds like something so bad is in there. That's so crazy to go. We're releasing it. Really? When? 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. 2 weeks later. We're not releasing it. Why? Is there anything bad about you in there? No, the Democrats put things that would be bad and fake about me.
People in his movement, like Steve Bannon, who say no dice, they want a special counsel, they want everything to come out. What should happen in this Jeffrey Epstein morass?
Listen, I'm probably not the person to ask because I don't speak in conspiracy theory, but at the end of the day, there's a lot bigger issues facing this country than Jeffrey Epstein. The guy is dead and buried. Let's move on.
Okay. And
listen, I actually understand. Some people take the Epstein story to crazy extents that don't have evidence to back it up, right? They'll like expand it to be bigger than it is, as big as it was. So I get having that inclination to say, like, let's not start throwing out things that we don't know to be true. And that's what I've been saying. And I've gotten some people upset with me because I'll say that. And they'll think I mean X story couldn't ever be true. It's no, I'm saying there's not evidence of X story at this point in time. And that's how we have to operate. But I promise you, the way that you're going to get people to stop talking about it is not going, he's dead. Because that's very Bill Gatesy. Well, he's dead, so just shut up about it already. Because, right, but so we're talking about, it's not about Epstein. It's about the other people. That's the whole point. It's about other people that could have been involved. George Santos says, hey, I trust this man. I voted for this man. And MAGA.
Hey everybody, George Santos here. I just want to clarify some stuff. I know that there's a lot of experts on X who know everything about politics, and it trumps my entire decade of involvement in politics. And a lot of my friends here, like Walter and a few others, who have been actually involved in politics large part of our lives. I know that, all of you, recently turned political experts know better than us. You're
not a political expert because you lied for 10 years.
It's just interesting to me how all of you, all of a sudden, have LARPed onto one issue, which was not the focal point of the case of this presidential campaign in 2024. But most importantly, I do want to remind people, yes, we're going to go after bad guys. Yes, the government's going to prosecute bad guys and pedophiles. And yes, that there is questions about the Epstein files. But to see some people go out there and make the most moronic statements, I have literally heard people spiral out of control, making the dumbest statements I have ever seen in my entire life. And I just don't understand why people are blowing themselves up on this. I mean, everybody's an expert on every subject, apparently. I guess I missed the memo to get all the PhDs on every topic of every news cycle. But I do want to say this. I will stand with this president through thick and thin. I have stood with this president through thick and thin.
Yeah, it's just a weird time to say that. Just a weird time to say it. But when I tell you that this is really radicalizing MAGA supporters against Trump, this is Dave Smith accusing Trump of covering up a pedo rape ring, and the crowd at a Turning Point USA event cheers.
up here to debate issues, and they come up here to debate me and my character. It's all they have every single time, because they can't actually take on any of the arguments. And so the most pathetic low-hanging fruit of, you guys like Trump, this guy said bad things about Trump. Listen, guys, I'm a free American. I supported Donald Trump in this last election. Yes, he did just actively cover up a giant child rapist ring, and I'm going to criticize him for that, okay? And I'm sorry, after...
Cheers. So that's why Trump is panicking, posting the post that you talked about. Is it really is making his followers upset with him. Matthew Gertz kept track of Fox News's coverage of this today. They mentioned Biden 46 times and Epstein 0. What the hell are you talking about me for? I didn't have anything to do with this. What the hell? Let's see. Then you have Charlie Kirk saying,
"What up, Beta?
I'm done with this. My friends at the White House wanted me to drop it, and I'm dropping it.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine."
Yeah. People are burning their MAGA hats. You can see that. It's officially over, says somebody. So it doesn't seem to be getting better or leaving the mouths of Trump's supporters. Share your thoughts in the comments.